She was born into wealth, draped in silk and gold, yet treated like she didn't belong. A beautiful girl with a radiant soul, ignored, mocked, and labeled useless just because she couldn't walk like the others. But life has a way of flipping the script. When the proud family that rejected her fell into crisis, it wasn't power or money that saved them. It was her. This is the emotional and powerful story of Ijeoma, the forgotten princess who rose through fire, pain, and silence to change her family's destiny forever. If you've ever been overlooked or underestimated, this story is for you. In the golden mansion of the Okon family, wealth poured like the rivers of the Niger Delta. Their name commanded respect, their riches rivaled royalty, and their parties dazzled the entire town. But within the high walls of that mansion lived a girl who was hidden from the world, a girl whose name echoed in silence more than in celebration. Her name was Ijeoma. Ijeoma was born with a physical disability, her legs twisted at birth and never developed strength. While her face was as radiant as the morning sun, her beauty was always overlooked, eclipsed by her condition. Her father, Chief Okon, a powerful businessman and traditional title holder, couldn't bear to look at her. To him, she was a curse, a flaw in his perfect legacy. Her mother, already timid under the chief's rule, dared not defend her too much. The family had 4 sons and 2 other daughters, all seemingly perfect, able-bodied, and proud. While they were lavish with gifts, praise, and photos in newspapers, Ijeoma was left in the shadows. At family gatherings, she would often sit alone in her room, hearing laughter and joy from the halls while staring at the cracked ceiling above her bed. She had a small radio that kept her company, and books, so many books. They became her world, her escape, and later, her strength. Cousins who came to visit would glance at her awkwardly, avoid conversation, or mock her behind her back. How can someone so rich be so useless? She should have been hidden at birth. What a waste of a pretty face. As she grew older, marriage proposals came in for her sisters, tall, light-skinned, always posing for photos. But for Ijeoma, none. Not even a whisper. Even the gatekeepers of suitors' families, upon learning of her condition, recoiled in silent judgment. One day, Ijeoma overheard her father say, "She'll die in that wheelchair. Just make sure she doesn't embarrass us." But Ijeoma never let her spirit die. Her heart, though cracked, never broke completely. She poured herself into learning. She read everything from history to strategy, from poetry to economics. She wrote stories and kept a journal where she wrote down every insult she had heard, and beside each, a lesson she had learned. One rainy evening, as thunder roared and lightning flashed over the Okon estate, Ijeoma sat by her window. She whispered to herself, "They think I'm weak, but storms don't ask for permission before they strike. One day, I'll be the storm this family never expected." And that day would come, sooner than anyone could imagine. It was during the peak of the dry season when the first sign of trouble arrived. The Okon family's sprawling business empire, which dealt in oil, construction, and international imports, began to crumble, slowly at first, then like a collapsing tower. Their most trusted manager, Uncle Pius, disappeared overnight, taking with him billions in investment funds. Government investigators came knocking, and rumors of fraudulent contracts and unpaid taxes filled the air. Chief Okon, once known as the King of Aqua Fortune, became the center of national disgrace. He paced the living room every day, his white kaftan soaked in sweat, snapping at servants and shouting at his wife. His sons, blinded by wealth all their lives, argued over solutions, none of which worked. His daughters stayed glued to their phones, pretending it wasn't real. The family, once dripping in pride, began to decay from within. But while the house was filled with confusion, one room stayed quiet, calm, and lit by the soft glow of a study lamp. Ijeoma had been watching it all, quietly. Listening, thinking. She had predicted this. She'd seen the signs in the books she had devoured. Poor risk management. Dependency on unverified allies. Ignorance of legal reforms. She knew more than any of them ever imagined. She summoned the courage to speak. One evening, she asked the family to gather in the living room. Her father sneered but waved his hand. Let the cripple speak. Maybe she'll entertain us while we burn. Ijeoma didn't flinch. Daddy, she began, her voice calm, you're losing everything because you trusted power but ignored wisdom. You surrounded yourself with greedy men and ignored the quiet voices. The room froze. She rolled her wheelchair forward. I studied your companies for years. I've read your contracts, examined your books. You're over-leveraged, under-audited, and, worst of all, unprotected from inside betrayal. Her eldest brother laughed. What do you know about business? You spend your life reading fairy tales and writing in journals. But Ijeoma didn't back down. She opened a file in her lap and handed it to her father. It contained a 12-point strategy to recover the business, including freezing certain accounts, partnering with new legal teams, and a clear communication strategy to protect public reputation. It even listed emergency funds stored in dormant branches overseas. Chief Okon blinked in disbelief. Where did you get all this? He stammered. I listened while you ignored me. I learned while you hid me. And now, I'm offering to help the same family that threw me away. The silence in the room was louder than thunder. And yet, even then, some still mocked. Her second brother scoffed. So now the cripple wants to be our CEO. But the storm outside was nothing compared to what was coming. For this was only the beginning of a fire that would consume everything, unless they let the one they ignored become their savior. In the days that followed, the Okon mansion turned into something it had never been before, a place of humility. After hours of hesitation, arguments, and quiet shame, Chief Okon made a call that shocked even himself. He instructed the remaining board members and family to give Ijeoma's strategy a trial. But Ijeoma didn't ask for applause. She didn't want titles or praise. All she requested was access to documents, to the truth, and to a chance. And with that, she went to work. Ijeoma transformed her small bedroom into a command center. Her bed became a desk, her walls lined with charts, files, and financial forecasts. Her fingers flew across her laptop like a seasoned executive, and her voice, once silent, now made calls to lawyers, auditors, and risk assessors across the country. She didn't just save the family business. She reinvented it. She discovered a legal loophole that allowed them to recover seized properties. She exposed another manager who had been silently funneling profits to private accounts in Dubai. And she negotiated a deal with an international NGO to fund their oil cleaning project, putting their name back in good light. But while she fought battles in boardrooms over the phone, a more painful war was happening in her heart. Her siblings still treated her like a burden. They gave her no credit. Her eldest brother went on interviews, parading her strategies as his own. Her sisters whispered that she was just lucky. And her father, though quietly impressed, still never said, "I'm proud of you." One night, after submitting a recovery proposal that got immediate approval from investors abroad, Ijeoma sat quietly, staring out her window again. Her mother walked in silently, holding a plate of food. "I warmed your jollof rice. You haven't eaten all day," she said gently. Ijeoma gave a soft smile. "Thank you, Mama." There was a pause. Then the mother whispered something that made Ijeoma freeze. "I should have fought for you. When they laughed, when they ignored you. I should have spoken." Tears welled in Ijeoma's eyes, but she didn't let them fall. She just nodded. "You're here now." Outside, the Okon empire was slowly healing. Investors returned. Government hit code. Articles that once condemned the family now hailed their miraculous comeback. But the greatest miracle wasn't just in business. It was in how people, for the first time, began to see Ijeoma not just as a girl in a wheelchair, but as a woman of vision. Guests who once avoided her now sought her advice. Newspapers that once ignored her story began asking for interviews. Still, she remained grounded. She told one reporter, "I don't need the world to call me a princess. I just want my story to remind girls like me that strength doesn't always walk on two legs, it rises from within." But destiny wasn't done with her yet. One final test remained. One that no amount of money, intelligence, or preparation could stop. And this time, it would be life or death. It happened on a Sunday night under a sky full of stars. The Okon family was finally smiling again. Guests filled their home, celebrating a major business deal that had not only saved their name but multiplied their wealth. The atmosphere buzzed with music, laughter, and high spirits. Even Chief Okon gave a speech, raising a glass to a family that knows how to rise again. Yet, not once did he mention Ijeoma. She remained upstairs, by her window, quietly watching the celebration below. She was not bitter anymore, only quietly proud, content in knowing that she had done what no one believed she could. But as the night deepened, a strange scent slipped into her room, smoke. At first, she thought it was a candle, but then she heard a scream from downstairs, followed by frantic footsteps and shouts. "Fire! Fire! The kitchen! The gas tank, it's blowing!" Within moments, flames tore through the back of the mansion. Panic spread like wildfire. Guests ran toward the gate, mothers screamed for their children, and thick black smoke climbed the walls. The power cut out. Darkness and heat consumed the once proud mansion. In the chaos, the family split. One of Ijeoma's sisters fainted near the hallway. Her younger brother was trapped behind a fallen beam. And Chief Okon, fighting to breathe, realized, to his horror, that one person hadn't been seen, Ijeoma. But Ijeoma wasn't hiding. She wasn't crying. She had willed herself into the hallway. Using her memory of the house's layout and the strategies she once used to study fire escape plans from a risk manual, she navigated the smoke. She found her sister and pulled her to safety. Then, hearing her brother's cries behind the collapsed beam, she grabbed a broken curtain rod and used it to shift the beam just enough for him to crawl through. The guards tried to reach them, but the flames were too fierce. Then, out of the smoke, emerged Ijeoma, her arms black with soot, coughing but alive, guiding her siblings behind her. Everyone gasped. Even Chief Okon, half conscious, fell to his knees when he saw her. His daughter, the one they hid, mocked, and forgot, had become their savior once again. The mansion burned, but every soul was saved. And that night, under the open sky where the Okon family huddled, Chief Okon took Ijeoma's hand and, with trembling lips, said the words she had never heard. "Forgive me. You are the strongest among us." Ijeoma didn't cry. She simply whispered, "Now you see what I've always known." The Okon mansion was rebuilt, but with fewer walls and more doors. Ijeoma's room became the family's central office. Her strategies built scholarships for disabled children across Nigeria. Her name became a symbol, not of pity, but of power. And while she never asked for a crown, the world gave her one anyway. Because true royalty isn't in how you walk, but in how you rise. Let us remember, the ones we reject today might be the very ones who save us tomorrow. Let us know in the comments, did this story touch you? Have you ever been doubted, only to rise stronger? We'd love to hear your thoughts. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful African stories that reveal truth, hope, and courage. Until next time, keep believing in the power within.